Rob Maaddi here on the Sports Batch. It's brought to you by Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City. It is a football week one, getting ready for the season, which means everything kind of changes. The format changes. Everything is a lot more structured. My life is back in order after being away for, it seemed like about a month or so. Good to be back. Rob Maaddi will be with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can hear his Faith on the Field show every weekend here on the Sports Bash as well. I'm really enjoying listening to that on the weekends. And Rob is back here for Tuesdays and Thursdays. And Rob, we got football. Football is back, my man.
Woo-hoo! And hey, you know what? Shout out to Resorts. I appreciate the sponsorship. I can use a place to stay when I'm up north. So if they want to hook me up, I know they got a nice little spot. But hey, it's football season. You know what? It's 2 days till kickoff, man. 2 days till kickoff. About 48 hours from now, I'll be rolling into Raymond James Stadium, going through whatever protocols we have to go through to get in, temperature checks and masks and everything else. I don't know what it's going to look like there. I think each stadium is going to be a little bit different, Mike, but it'll be great to kick off the NFL season. Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday night, and then Eagles in Atlanta on Sunday,
Yeah, man. We have both of those games. You can hear Thursday Night Football, and, of course, Eagles and Falcons. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick have the call. Let me start with you asked Nick Sirianni a question about what this game, getting ready for his first game. And I think his answer kind of gives you a little insight of the kind of coach that he might be. He said, I could give you the coach speak, but I don't want to. And he kind of really got into a really cool answer. And I want to kind of get from you asking that question what you were hoping to get out of him and what he gave you.
Well, Mike, I'll start off from a selfish standpoint, right, in a Labor Day story. I want to get my article done, and I want to get to barbecue. And so I'm hoping, as I'm writing about Nick Sirianni and his first game and what the family and football all means to him, that he gives me an answer like that. But I completely would have understood if he wanted to go a different direction and say, hey, it's not about me. It's about the team. We're focused on Atlanta, game plan, all that stuff. And he said, yeah, I could give you that. But he's such a genuine, sincere dude that you can't help but root for a guy like Nick Sirianni. You saw in that answer, it was about a 2-minute and 10-second answer, and you could see in that what football means to him, what it means to his brothers, what it means to his dad, a longtime high school coach, upstate New York, Fran Sirianni, and his whole family. And football, coaching football is in their genes. And it's pretty cool how, like, dad coaches high school, one of the brothers follows his footsteps and coaches high school. Another brother coaches Division III. And here's Nick, the youngest of the three, coaching in the NFL. And I thought, man, and his eyes lit up, right? He smiled, and he's talking about Saturday afternoon. He's listening, right? He's listening to his brother coach a Division III college football game. I don't know how at NovaCare you have access to listening to a Division III college football game. Like, I don't know where you can even get that on your radio dial or whatever it may be. I know that 97.3 is not carrying Washington and Jefferson College football games, but he's listening to it, talking to his dad through that. So you just get a little bit of an insight into who he is, the genuine, sincere. He kind of wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think it's very refreshing, Mike.
Now, I will say, I was just in Jamestown, New York, which is where he is from, and I did not know he was from Jamestown, New York. But
Wait, Mike. It doesn't say welcome to Jamestown, New York, home of Sirianni. No, it doesn't say that?
No, it did not. But I will say, like, from that area, like, it's for me anyway, for the time, it didn't seem like some crazy football town. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't seem like this crazy. So for him and his father, like, to all be coaches and come out, and him to be in the NFL coming from that's a pretty cool story, knowing that the area that I was just in. But obviously, this team has a completely different look. To me, Rob, how much is getting to the starting line with the offensive line, with all 5 regulars going to go on Sunday, unless something happens in the next 72 hours, how much does that change the dynamic of this team?
I think it's crucial. I think this offensive line and their health, Mike, and what they can do to provide stability up front, the chemistry that they all have together, especially the 3 guys on the right side, from Kelsey on over to Brandon Brooks to Lane Johnson, the Pro Bowls they've been to, the All-Pro nominations that they've had. This is a very formidable offensive line, and if they can be healthy and stable and play together, and that cohesiveness that they have, I think is going to go a long way towards how well Jalen Hurts can do as a first-year full-time starter getting into his second season in the NFL. And I'm excited to see Lane back and Brandon Brooks and Kels. And then, of course, Jordan Mailata on the left side, what he can do as entering this season, holding off the first-round pick in Andre Dillard, winning that starting job. And, of course, Isaac Seumalo at left guard, I think, might be holding a place right now for Landon Dickerson when he gets healthy, when he comes back. He's ready to go. He might eventually be that guy. But as this offensive line goes, so will the Eagles. And if they can stay healthy and perform up to their past capabilities, this could be a matter of 2 to maybe even 3 wins for the Eagles.
I want to get your take on Watkins was on the depth chart as the starter. Was that, number one, a surprise? And if him being a starter tells you a little bit about how they plan on utilizing this, running this offense?
I don't think it was a surprise, Mike, because of the way things were trending in the preseason and what we saw, the success that he had, the training camp that he had, the deep threat that he is, right? He's a speed guy. He's a burner, and what he brings to the table. So I don't think it was all that much of a surprise. But now being listed on a depth chart at number 1 doesn't matter all that much. It's going to come down to how many snaps he gets versus the other guys, the Greg Ward and J-Jaw, who made the team, right? How many snaps he gets. Because we know Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor are, barring any injury, should be out there predominantly for a majority of the snaps at wideout. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he can perform. They got a couple home run threats, man, and they haven't had that in a while. And they did in Deshaun for a little bit when he was healthy. And it's exciting to see how they can be utilized, because I think the way Nick Sirianni plans to use these guys, I have high hopes, Mike. I have high hopes for Jalen Reagor. I think a lot of people are forgetting about him, but man, he was a first-round pick just last year, and I'm not ready to write this kid off after one injury-riddled season playing in an offense that I don't think maximized his strengths on a team that was decimated by injury and had a quarterback who had a horrific year. I think Jalen Reagor can surprise some people, and then if he can be anything close to what they expected out of a first-round pick that he was, and Devontae, I think we all have high expectations for, suddenly this wide receiver core, this group looks a whole lot better than what it did 6 months ago, 9 months ago.
Yeah, and then on that, I'm very intrigued by how you read now with the way we didn't know that Ertz and Goddard were both going to be here. Now they are. Now what?
This is a very interesting turn, Mike, and I think Dallas Goedert kind of let it slip by saying he fully expected to have a new contract by now, but the Eagles went into a quote-unquote different way. They went a different way, and I think what's happened is that with Zach Ertz and the front office seemingly coming to some sort of forgiveness, amends, let's put past in the past, let's move forward. Zach being the guy that he is, a strong man of faith, a guy who's going to put and forgive those who have hurt him and put all that in the past and move forward. I really believe that the Eagles are going to use this season as a way to evaluate both of these guys. And while Dallas Goedert is the younger of the two, he's also been injury prone, right? And Zach Ertz at 30 years old doesn't mean he doesn't have a contract left in him. I think he's got a 4-year deal where he can perform up to 34, 35 and be elite. I don't see any reason why Zach Ertz, who keeps himself in top physical shape, who has the determination, the will, the hunger, the desire to be a Hall of Fame tight end, and he's got to still go out there and put together 3, 4, 5 great seasons, not good, great seasons to be considered at one day for that gold jacket in the Hall of Fame. He's not there yet, and he wants to be there. I think that he can still do that. We've seen tight ends play into their mid to late 30s. Antonio Gates, Jason Witten, Tony Gonzalez, Rob Gronkowski right now doing it. So there's no reason why Zach Ertz can't join that elite tight end above 30 into their mid 30s. And then we look at a contract like Mark Andrews gets last night, $26.6 million guaranteed money, 63% of it guaranteed. To me, that's a contract that everybody said, hey, this says a lot. Hey, Dallas Goedert's going to want this kind of money. You know what? So is Zach Ertz. Why would Zach Ertz not want that kind of money? He's done a heck of a lot more than Mark Andrews and Dallas Goedert. So I'm not writing off. This is crazy to say this because I was someone who probably on your show, I know on my shows and on others, I said, I don't see any way where Zach Ertz is going to be on this Eagles team this year. Now, I don't only think he's on the team this year. I think there is a possibility that he's here beyond that.
What changed? Was Nick Sirianni some guy that he was just so glued to, that personality that reinvigorated? What changed?
I think this is something where the front office had to sit down with Zach and have a conversation and really say we apologize for what's happened in the past, for maybe not treating you the right way, for not one. I know that when there were conversations with the Eagles and his agency for a contract extension in 2019, right? Yeah, we're in 21 now. So it wasn't last year. It was the year before talks broke off, that the Eagles intended on giving him an extension. They just didn't give him enough guaranteed money that his agency thought it was worth it. So that's where things started to disintegrate. And then the whole Zach and Carson are very close. And the way that Carson Wentz issues, how all of that unfolded, all of the things that happened behind the scenes that I know Zach was aware of, and the causing a rift in relationships and putting things out there to control a narrative that really wasn't happening. I know Zach was aware of that, and he certainly could not appreciate that and wasn't going to like that and wasn't going to take too kindly to that, seeing that happen to one of his close friends. So I think there was a lot of forgiveness in there, and they're looking at this as a fresh start. I know this. Zach has always loved Philly, has always wanted to be here. His family moved here. He's got roots here now. His foundation does tremendous work in the Philly area, in North Philly and in areas around there. And I know he's always wanted to be here. So for that reason, I think he's willing to say, hey, let's put the things of the past in the past and let's move forward and let's exercise forgiveness.
Rob will be back on Thursday. We'll get more of his thoughts on this particular matchup, but I just want to get your overview thought. Like, this defense on paper is better than last year. The one issue I would say is the age. I mean, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, McLeod, Slay. These are all guys that could, they're starting to get there, and they're better players. But same as that offensive line, if their defense stays healthy, what do we got?
I just sat down today, too, with Rodney McLeod and had a very cool conversation, and I'm still not sure. He's not sure when he's going to be able to come back, but he's got a lot of high expectations for this defense under Jonathan Gannon, and I think you're going to see a different kind of defense in that we may not be on 3rd and 15 so prone to seeing other teams convert, right, with the picket defense and all that stuff. I think you're going to see a defensive coordinator who maximizes the strength of the players that he has there. And as you said, Mike, there are some older veteran guys, but there's a good blend of younger players. And the guy everybody's high on is Josh Sweat, who incidentally was named a co-starter on the depth chart, which I thought was a little interesting to see him and Derek Barnett co-starters. He's going to get a lot of snaps. The strength of this defense remains that defensive line, what they can do up front, and if they can control the line of scrimmage and put pressure on quarterbacks, they're going to have a whole lot more success than they did last year. And I think they've improved at the linebacker unit. That's certainly improved. And the secondary, Steven Nelson upgrades at cornerback for sure, and Rodney McLeod, his injury to me and him coming back from an injury means a lot to the team stability wise back there. So hopefully he can get back out there in September.
Rob Maaddi, the Associated Press NFL. He'll be at the opening night, Dallas and Tampa. And, of course, on Thursdays, we will chat Tuesdays and Thursdays about the NFL and the Eagles and all things NFL right here on the Sports Bash. Don't forget Faith on the Field weekends here on 97.3 ESPN. That was a great conversation with Alan Faneca last week. What's coming up this week?
Brandon Graham, and it's kind of, Mike, it's like Brandon Graham unplugged, man. I sat down with him and the Eagles chaplain, Pastor Ted Winsley, who's got a book out called A View from the End Zone about, he's been an Eagles chaplain for 2 decades. And BG, man, really opens up some fascinating details about not only his journey in his faith, but like his relationship with his current wife. And I'm going to put out a little snippet this week that's going to surprise some people of BG talking about some things that are very private, and it's a very cool conversation.
Check that out. Rob Maaddi will be back on Thursday. We'll preview the Eagles and the Falcons a little closer. All right, Rob. Thanks, bud.
Mike, appreciate you, bud.
It's Rob Maaddi here on the Sports Bash from the Associated Press, and he is brought to you by Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City.